would imagine that this motivation and this ability to help people be better has come from your own experiences, right? Yeah,
Yes,
can you share a bit about that?
yes. I was blessed. Um, I call it the gift and the curse. I never knew my father. That's where the invisible father comes from. I never knew my father. When I say I never knew him, the first time I ever saw my father was at his funeral.
Mm,
So I never knew my father, and my mother was a 15-year-old mother. She had me when she was 15. And so I was literally taken and reared by my great grandparents. And
mhm,
beyond their years and the background was this innate drive, especially by my grandmother early on. And then as I started to grow, my grandfather, and it's my actual great grandparents. So we're talking about my mom's grandparents, my grandmother's parents. And they literally, my grandmother would always say, you can do anything you can set your mind that you set your mind to. I was never told I couldn't. And then I took that mindset into school. And in school, I have these teachers at every segment that literally sit up and saw something in me. I write like my fourth and fifth. I had the same teacher fourth, fifth, and sixth grade because I was in an accelerated learning class. And she told me,
mhm.
you're very smart, but nobody will ever know because nobody can understand your writing. And so she kept me after school every day and she taught me how to write. And literally everybody makes fun of me because of how my handwriting is. And
Uh-huh.
I owe that to her. My seventh grade teacher, Mr. Brewer, taught me punctuality is a step to success, obedience is a step to success, discipline, all these different things that made me more disciplined. Miss Dewberry was my literature teacher and English teacher, and she told me the word can't would never apply to me. And most importantly, Ms. Williams Leonard, who we just lost a couple of years ago, was my journalism teacher and also the wife of my coach, my football coach. And she knew the story of me not knowing my father, and she knew how it impacted me. And she also knew that while my grandparents were very loving, they were three generations removed. And the age difference was creating some things. So they would literally come pick me up and spend time with me. And she's the one that urged me to write my first article that got published nationally. I was 16, and it was The Invisible Father, which ultimately became the book. So I hear people all the time talking about self-made, and I tell people all the time, I
Mhm.
don't know what it looks like because all through my life there were people who put their stamp on my success. And I just want to be a part of that. I want my legacy to say that I touch lives. And so that's the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of your work deals with manhood, fatherhood, talking to the generations before, but you also have that connection with intergenerational upbringing with your teachers and then your great grandparents that instilled those things in you. So you're essentially reaching back to have those intergenerational conversations with young men as well, and instilling some of those values that were instilled in you. Is that accurate?
Right.
Hmm.
Like I said, when I was probably 8, my grandfather came to my grandmother, and again, we're talking great grandfather and great
Yes.
grandmother came to him, came to her and said, "From this point, I got it." And at that point, she no longer disciplined me. She no longer did anything. And later on, he would tell me when I asked him why did he stop her from being a disciplinarian and just only a nurturer. Um,
Mhm.
and he said that if I allowed her to continue to do that, you would learn how to be controlled and dominated by a woman, and you can never be a leader.
Mm,
He says a man has to love a woman enough to die for her, but be strong enough to tell her no.
mm.
And and he dropped, I mean, this is a man with a second grade education, literally born in 1909. So he was
Yeah.
literally, you hear the stories, but I literally was reared by the son of a sharecropper.
Yes.
And so he had a second grade education because he had to go out in the fields at 7 years old and work with his father to make ends meet. But his wisdom was unmatched and his behavior as a man was unparalleled. And so I still measure myself against.
Mhm.
I lost him on Thanksgiving of 1992. And he still missed, but that drive in manhood comes from him And it is a push, and I'm still striving. And my goal is to just get all of our men to acknowledge our humanity, but also
Mhm.
acknowledge an inherent standard that we seem to have lost somewhere. Um,
Mm.
so that's the push.